Okay, just a brief discussion on the best way to stretch out your hamstrings. So for whatever reason, if you feel your hamstrings are tight, I'm going to show you the most efficient way. Lots of ways to stretch the hamstrings out and get them more flexible. I'm going to show you the quickest way that involves the least effort. So while there are many different techniques to choose from when it comes to stretching out a tight muscle and improving knee motions, by far the easiest and least complicated way is known as the static stretch. Static or stationary stretch takes a tight muscle, puts it in a lengthened position, keeps it there for a certain period of time. For instance, if you wanted a static stretch to make your back muscle more flexible, you could simply lie on your back and pull your knees to your chest. Thus, as you hold this position, the muscles are being statically stretched. There's no bouncing, just a gentle, sustained stretch. Sounds easy, perhaps a bit too easy, so you may be wondering at this point, how effective is static stretching when it comes to making one more flexible? All right, so the best form of proof in medicine that something works is a randomized controlled trial, so that's all we're going to talk about. A study published in the journal Physical Therapy took 57 people and randomly divided up into 4 groups. One group held the static stretch for 15 seconds, another 30, another 60. Fourth group didn't stretch at all, it's the control. All 3 groups stretched once a day, one stretch 5 times a week for 6 weeks. Results showed that holding a stretch for a period of 30 seconds was just as effective as the 60-second group. And holding a stretch for 30 seconds was much more effective than holding for 15 seconds, and of course, not stretching at all. So therefore, 30 was the same as 60 seconds of stretching. So why would you want to do 60 when 30 does just as well? And of course, 15 and no stretching didn't do as well as the 30. Looks like if you hold a stretch for 15 seconds, it doesn't do much. On the other hand, holding a stretch for 30 seconds does work, and just as well as 60 seconds. Now that you know the 30-second stretch seems to be a magic number, makes you wonder if doing a bunch of 30-second stretches would be even better. All right, so here's another randomized controlled trial. We looked at the optimal number of times to do it. So we got 91 subjects were randomly divided into 5 groups. Perform 3 1-minute stretches, 3 30-second stretches, a 1-minute stretch, and a 1 30-second stretch, or don't do any stretch at all. That's the control group. The results, not so surprising, was the fact that all groups became more flexible than the control group that didn't stretch. However, what was surprising was the finding that among the groups that did stretch, no one group became more flexible than the others. So in other words, it made no difference whether the stretching time was increased from 30 to 60 seconds, okay, we already knew that from the last study, or more importantly, when the frequency was changed from doing 1 stretch a day to doing 3 stretches a day. So you did it once or 3 times a day, it didn't matter, you end up at the same place. You stretch for 30 seconds or 60 seconds, you end up at the same place. So here we have yet another randomized controlled trial, okay, which is showing us once again that holding a stretch for 30 seconds is just as effective as holding it 60 seconds. And to top it all off, doing the 30-second stretch once a day was just as good as if you did it 3 times a day. Other randomized controlled trials have also supported the amazing effectiveness of the 30-second stretch done 1 time a day, 5 days a week to make one more flexible. And interestingly enough, a later study showed that doing 1 30-second stretch once a day, okay, 3 times a week can make you a little more flexible. Can even make you a little more flexible. So that's good. Good to know if you're having a busy week and happen to miss a day of stretching or 2. So as far as the randomized controlled trials clearly point out, it really doesn't take a lot of time to stretch out tight muscles if you know how. Based on the current research, this book recommends the following guidelines, which is just what we went over. So there you go. This is Bulletproof Your Hamstrings.